Please be aware that the hearing room is available in the chamber. Please remain quiet and I always say that everyone can hear the meeting. Tonight you'll see that 14 running council and 1 enclosed council, a transparency rate of 93%. We'll commence the meeting of prayer. Please remain standing as a call upon Marie.
We bring from the Multi-Faith Network to the councillors and people of the city of Casey. The Casey Multi-Faith Network are a collaborative representation of various religions and faiths committed to working together toward the promotion of peace, harmony, and understanding in the community. We believe in the dignity of all humanity. Therefore, we defend the right of all member religions and to practice and celebrate their own religion and promote their own faith. We respect and honor the right of others, all their chosen paths. We will model responsible citizenship, respect and friendship through co-action, education that promotes understanding and trust within the community. And we support in cases, promoting and respecting diversity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gracious God, to give your blessings, council, so that decisions may truly be for the well-being of the people of the city of Casey. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have an conflict under I.1 advise the CEO of the meeting.
Thank you, and you'll remind us of that.
Yes.
Now to discuss and there's a couple I want to discuss myself and 6 point.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to withdraw 6.1, 6.6.8.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to withdraw items 6.2 and 6.2.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Items 6.5 and 6.9, please.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
6.7.
Is there a move and second? Moved by Councillor Flannery, moved by Councillor. That is carried. We'll move now to public question time. Are there any questions, Councillor Mead?
There have been 2 questions received for tonight's council meeting from Vicky Hatzies. Is Vicky in the... Thank you. Question 1. Do the underprivileged who share a bedroom due to financial hardship deserve private lockable spaces? People can undress, bed naked, do things without invading. What can I build within the 4 walls of this legal room that will give people legal rights? Question. House operators must comply with standards set out in the Residential Tenancies Rooming House Standards Regulations 2012. These regulations prescribe a privacy, safety and amenity standards with which a rooming house owner must comply in relation to all or any combination of the following: rooms in a rooming houses and services, common areas of rooming houses, the general amenity of rooming houses, and to protect the right of communities' multiple members, those who have accommodation in rooming houses. In reference to private lockable spaces, the regulation does specify the residence room with a locking device is operated by a key from the outside, and B can be unlocked from the inside without a key. Mental health team complies on a proposal to ensure that the proposal complies with the regulations prior to fit out. The second question, also received from constitutes and defines parameters of a bedroom as is stated unambiguously under the law. Quote only the specific relevant act versus volume that you're drawing from. Recently dealt with this issue with Ms. Hatzies through the Magistrates Court, during which the Magistrates Court confirmed Council's definition of room and questions.
We'll now move on to officers' reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me while I just... Okay, I just move, change it before I do if I can. That council defers the word endorse. The plan, and just at the comma at the end, defers for right at the end of the for a meeting between relevant officers and interesting for further discussion. I just made a couple of notes. What I clarify this meeting between. Yes, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I'll just be brief. The report requires further discussion and so on the recommendation to deferment. There is a broad overview what it suggests in the report seeks to accomplish, and what I would be seeking in a would be a deep plan of what this wants to achieve, a checklist and an action plan. For instance, some services are not appropriate for vice versa. Continuous delivery of this may blur the lines. I just want to be clear about where we're going to put safeguards in place. Also, there is a reference made in the notes that we've previously knocked back at council, and so I just want to ensure that we're not using a report that would be contrary to the vision of the council. As we know, policy is a basis for further work, so we want to be, when we're dealing with children involved and the building blocks of family, we want to be clear about what we are proposing and how we wish to shape society through council service delivery, or we shape it through this. So I'll be asking questions, the necessity of this, how it links in, how it's anchored to our plan in further detail, and what laws are that deems this necessary. What else? Forms the underflow. I want to thank the office report on this and your work. You've briefed us on this previously, but seeing more detail, I just have more. So that's really forward to adopting just while after we rigorous debate on it. So it's imperative of nature to seek further council consultation and possible community consultation. Leave that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cristani. Just a question, Mrs. Law, you happy with working at a time of able to have a...
Absolutely. That's fine.
you for
Yeah.
good. Is there any Councillor Stadler?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just this recommendation of the report, in order to thank our council officers and to talk a little bit about what's happening. Sorry, move. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, this has been fantastic to date, Mr. Rouse, and I'd like to thank you and your team. Great advice and you've given the Scouts. So far, they have achieved a lot in the terms of grants already. They've also a lot in terms of beautiful community group this Scout Hall campaign. What's further come to light is the ability for Scouts to realise themselves in the community to help, because they're usually the ones going out to get help. So the thinking was very different. It was they were always the ones out there. So it was very hard to get their head around how to ask a community. So they're moving along very well, and there's been some wonderful opportunities given to Scouts to pursue, which is fantastic. We'd like to Jenny Walden, she's the head of the Scouts there, and has now become District Commissioner, which is fantastic. So she'll be overseeing any future Cranbourne to try and facilities. But can I just say that your time and your efforts have not been wasted on the Scouts. They're an amazing group, raising young children ages, teaching them about resilience, teamwork, how problem solving, all sorts of things. So away from the computers, great outdoors, and really having a great time. So I just want to thank you and your team for the work you've done so far, and look forward to seeing what progress they make. Thank you very much.
Councillor Stadler, any questions or dissent on that? That is carried.
Thank you. I'd like to move this. Thank you. I just raise this very briefly just to highlight that we're doing work. Thank you, Mr. Griffin, and Nathan Nislip as well was at the meeting that I attended before Christmas, and we had quite probably I'd say 20 residents fronted, and it was interesting to see a variety of hooning issues in the road in Warren. What makes this particularly unique is that it is a dead end with a court, and of hooning issues actually across the city. There's no to this area, but what's unique is that we really don't know who owns this court in the first place, and so we're trying to define so we can see who. Try not to close it, but there's a suggestion of a basketball court, so I might join in again if you will, Mr. Griffin, with me. If we do that, but That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So I'm obviously so much on this, and I just want the community to know by raising this that we haven't dropped the ball, so to speak, on this. That we can look at this, control everyone's, and yeah. But I know what we're trying to do is look to even trim trees, look at areas that we lighten them so that they're not dark. What we can do is to improve it. We have to close the road. We're not sure yet, but we've put bollards in place, which happen almost immediately, so that how quickly that was amazing. Really pleased to see that the community are coming on the journey with us, and I like the approach the officers took at that meeting to bring them on the journey and address and take down all. That just is a representation of how well you work with the community. So thank you. We'll look forward to a further report next week.
Carried, thank you. We move now
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, to move the recommendation in my name with a couple of additions. Part definitive will be delivered, given that we've had a couple of reports now in relation to this, each to be giving us a so I would like to word will to can. So the implementation of the China Engagement Strategy 2017-18 can be delivered within the strategy. Part 3. That the of and an open quote investment, attraction and job creation in Casey be added to the, and we'll close the quotes please, after Casey. Be added to be at the forefront of the 5 objectives listed on page 14 of this report. Part 4 that all travel associated with the officially adopted China strategy, China strategy, you may rather than remains be made out of the strategy. And finally, part 5, the 2019/19 budget submission in relation to engagement strategy. Be made in line with all travel commitments supporting that strategy for that year. Comma, and all future financial years. That is my the extent of my additions, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I will introduce. Just before I introduce, though, I've got to ask the officer, if I can, a couple of questions. This is an interesting in comparison report that was presented to Council at the last meeting of 2017. I note that the report stipulates, underscores that because the China engagement officer was hired into the financial, resulted in savings for the overall budget, and accordingly the budget, with the absorption of Councillor Smith and Tripp, is now funded and will not need the addition of the $30,000 that my amended motion for the last county recall. So I'm just wondering, how come we know that now and we didn't know that back then, given that we knew the date of the hiring China engagement officer?
Mayor, the question that was asked at the last meeting related to the actual expenditure for the China program, not the done a thorough analysis of the full. We've been able to allocate some staff resourcing funding savings across to the program.
There's a specific through you last council meeting, and the resultant answer was that if any China trips were out of the budget, it would actually be off. And the information that we've got back is that the budget will in fact not be over, because we've engaged the China engagement officer late into the year, and there was some automatic there. And so I'm wondering, and again I repeat the question, that was exactly the case at the last council meeting. I'm just wondering, the answer is different to me, that the analysis is simple. The figures we're talking about are under $100,000. The actual cost center under that 100,000 are not numerous, probably 6 or 6, and And so therefore the answer at the last council meeting should have been exactly the same as the one that's been in the meeting tonight. Not in fact go to Councillor Smith's trip. Now it seems to me, through you, Mr. Mayor, that we are getting the goal, and why that concern is because we need both the staffing approach and the councillor's approach to this completely sync. And I discussed the results of his recent trip to the US in relation to the Lantern Festival, and also some further activity of his to New York, which was fully self-funded by him, and yet will accrue a significant benefit to this council. I don't know to go into what he's spoken, because that'll be the subject of a future council report by him as the delegate, and there's also the subject of certain aspects emotionally in conflict. But I'm really concerned, and I'm concerned to Mr. Wilkinson, that we seem to be changing the goalposts of our definition in terms of the style that come back to the council meeting. Essentially, the information remains the same. And so tonight, and I'm rhetorically now speaking, so you'll answer that. That's the nation and my king. But essentially tonight, by amending the motion and adding those points to it, again, I'm sending a very crystal clear message that the council expectation that the China strategy, given officially adopted council policy and position, and particularly again given some of the discussion had with Mr. Wilkinson, which will again be the further report at the next council meeting, things are happening in a really dynamic way. Absolutely, we put our money where it is if we're interested with China and creating local jobs as a result of that. We have to make sure the funding and the budget and the staffing behind it remains absolutely rock solid all the way through. Now, Mr. Wilkinson, at the next council, I'm not at liberty to what we've just is about to make announcements. This is real, people. This is happening, and it's happening faster than anyone imagined. Just want to take the opportunity again to my commitment to it, to congratulate Councillor Smith on the great role that he's undertaken while representing abroad, to also congratulate Mr. Wilkinson on the great leadership that he has shown in this matter and the dynamism through which this is. So I doubt that by 2008 we will all be incredibly aware of the great deliverables that are coming through as engagement. A massive benefit will be there for Casey that will be spoken of for generations to come.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, and it was only really sort of, I suppose, answering the rhetorical question Councillor posing ways, we're all in furious agreement on this in terms of, and it's how the costings are done, and it's probably not in terms of the costs as would appear, and it does appear that the cost centres is just relating to the programme side of it and the employment side of it. But when the budget up, I think it was $100,000 for the next 2 years committed to the China project, with then a review of that in the 2019-20 for continuing or for a decision. And I think that money was put into the budget, sort of included the staff costs and the programmes all lumped together. So when the analysis was originally done, the programme side appeared to be overspent, but the staffing side of it, when you lump it in, was under. And there's been some lack of clarity on this particular issue, but I don't think there's any intention at all through either the previous report or this report to any that there was sort of a shifting of costs or whatever around. The fact of the matter is that everything that we've got planned for this financial year for China is and can be paid in the existing budget. As Councillor is quite rightly says, and as Ms Hugot says within the report, this is a council, the China strategy has been a council, and it is very important that we focus on the implementation of that, and to do that we need to have appropriate to actually carry that out. So I think office council are all on that, and I think obviously certainly councillors is additions to the recommendation support that.
Just questions? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, if I see clear, the budget that is formulating what's likely to cost for these travels, expected commitments. So this is the 18-19 is okay. So we're not saying that we're definitely adopting it. We're actually saying that the submission should be with expected travel costs.
Yeah.
The thing okay, and I'll just sort of tie it up with a few more things, and that is, I want to be sure that we're not indicating this year and all future without going through the rigorous budget process that we all have to go through for everything. I just want to make sure that, and also how many expecting with that in say in a period and ongoingly. Thanks.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Cristani. Question. Let me make a couple of things. Is entitled to the staff, not to the elected council. So every staffing area makes a budget submission, executive then gets and then present approval to the council. This is basically a notation to them to say that all future travel in relation to China being strategy will come up out of that engagement strategy budget. So they'll then bring that through the normal process, and council will have the opportunity to make a determination in relation to what's finally allocated. So I'm making that as a provision for the next financial year because that hasn't been determined at least through January, 6 months to go. And future years that would be the process, not just, and I assure you that if we engage with any other country, that would be my exact as well. That's the first. I can't remember the second thing.
How many?
How many trips, through you, Mr. Mayor? How many trips to Mr.
I don't know. I think at the council meeting we've planned 2 trips, and that might do it. And this financial year, we are in fact going to have 2 trips. We've had Councillor Smith's trip, and we're probably going to have in April to do with doing some work that we did on the first trip, but also engaging at a higher level with another form as well, and that's sticks that Mr. will talk about. So it may take a couple of trips a year, it may take 1, it may take none. However, we have to think of what it might be. We have to budget it. And that again will be dependent and highly reliant on advice that comes back from the officers.
I to add to what Councillor Aziz has just said, and just to, I suppose, confirm in a bit more detail, as Councillor Aziz said, that the is obviously with it's referred to as a soccer trip, but really there is a strong business focus with that in April. So that's the second financial year. It is that we will be in October as well, which is the next financial year, and also following in the spring of that. So there'll be 2 financial years. As far as the budget at the moment is for 2018, sorry, 17-18, the current year, and 2019. Then future will have to be considered as part of a further, I suppose, consideration of the whole engagement. And we do continue. Clearly, your office already advised you that as far as China is concerned, there is no point doing this quick 2 or 3, and then we say, oh, okay, enough now. China should really be looked at a very long-term engagement by council. But in future, I think, as you know, agreeing with what Councillor said, it might be for 2 trips. It might be just 1 trip. So I think we've got to be relatively flexible as regard to the overall in future years to allow that to happen.
Yeah, look, I'll be very. I returned today from my trip. It was very quite fruitful, very eye-opening, absolutely. But more detail, I hope meeting if not next. And as Councillor is alluded to, there is another possible outcome that we expected, but is on that one, and we keep that under wraps for commercial in confidence reasons. But the certainly the feature of the trip, the festival. I'm decided to call it a Lantern Festival anymore because it's nothing like a Lantern Festival. It's not, doesn't come anywhere near it. It's called the festival, and it's a massive event in Phoenix. It's just renowned for the absolute magnitude of it, and interesting. Visited the quite a few times in both during the day when it was not lit up, just to see the technical side of it, but at night and at the end watching on the young families walking in at just how massive and that this festival was. And Phoenix town that's easily, they were certainly impressed by this festival, and the Chinese connections with the festival are very keen to work with Casey and their research and work about Casey, where we'll know. They know the catchment that we serve. They can see the potential in having a similar, be much smaller than Phoenix one is. There's no way to stay in the size of the Phoenix festival, but they know that, and they're prepared to scale it down, and we'll just progress as these in relation to that sort of size of event. There's any guarantees, but they're definitely keen to the next stage. They will come Casey to suss out what sort of news that we might be able to offer.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Gillett should have.
Yeah. So 90% of the containers are imported from China. Bluestone, limestone. We make a lot of business from them. It's great to go over there and meet partners. And I was most supportive, but we need to physically go. The fact that Councillor Aziz said that there's something about person-to-person meetings with maybe time, but even then, no, that's not true. They do have the world's first quantum conference. And the reason that is because they conference with places all over the world. I deal with now China, with India, Turkey, mainly in Istanbul. But my point is, I've only ever had one or two. Beyond that, every video, they were able to send samples, and there was something Councillor Smith said when he was talking. This trip proves my. Actually, I have to prove it for myself. In the other room, he said that when they mentioned about the city of, and that they knew about Bunjil Place and what a great place it was, and that they knew all these things about it, and he thought, oh, easy, and that's that. The reason they knew that is because after researching for only about 10 minutes, I realized we actually have such a good web and video system for Bunjil through our IT system that if you go onto the internet, you tours of Bunjil, physical tours, without being here, without having to come here. I understand maybe to go somewhere like if you do a quarry, time to check out, so we could import one container. One container might have $30,000 in it. One might have 1,000, but one might have $4,000. And if I'm going to spend $1,200 to go there, $800 to stay there, just so I can have a relationship, it's not necessary. A copy to video conference. So all I'm saying is, it is the best nation to work together with. They can almost everything. But no, we don't need to go there every single time. We don't need to go there. Yeah.
I have questions following Councillor Gillich's debate. To ask the question, Wilkinson, please. Do that. Mr. Wilkinson, you would have heard Mr. Gillich present an perspective of commercial experience with China. Now, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. I wonder if you would entertain your professional experience in terms of the government relationships, given that we're about to sign a memorandum of understanding and a memorandum of understanding with Du Jiang. Do you think this can be done by video conference?
Very happy to answer. Effectively, the advice we have used over a number of years now to support our engagement is programme. The advice is very clear that communication with the government agency in China is the way that the Chinese want to conduct their business. I think also the general advice to members of the business and why businesses actually go on a regular basis is that the Chinese do like to do business on a face-to-face basis as well. I've seen that as really with what's been said by Councillor Gillich, in the sense that if I was looking to source a particular product and on the world and that product was a quality product, then yes, that would be done online and that would be done without any need to actually visit China. But this is a different situation about attraction. It's about making business-to-business connections to benefit our businesses locally, and to do effectively online or conferencing. That has to be on a face-to-face basis. I think the council's taken a very reasonable approach to this. Not talking about visits to China, talking about regular visits to China. We're talking about 1 or 2 visits a year, and deprecated visits as well, maybe 1 or 2 per year. And I think in terms of the long-term chances of getting investment and therefore creating in the Casey region, I think the approach advised by consultants is the right one that council should be undertaking.
Question, thank you, Mr. Wilkinson. You say that we've obtained advice through a consultant, and I presume you're referring to Mr. Tom Parker from the advisory?
Through Mr. Tom Parker originally worked for Red Tape Consulting. He was the director. He now works for Bastion. But that advice this council over years now.
And Mr. Wilkinson, are you aware of the length of experience that Mr. Parker has had in the of human endeavour rising on China?
I can't be accurate again through you, Mr. Mayor. I can't be accurate in terms of the number of years, but he has a CV working for the Melbourne on the desk and leading a number of delegations on behalf of the City of Melbourne. He's been consultant for 10 years now, delegations on behalf of the state government. He's been an advisor to the state government with regard to China engagement. Again, as I'm aware, the line is.
So, Mr. Wilkinson, my final question is that, given that extensive experience and the impressive achievements, would it be reasonable to summarise that he does know what he's talking about?
Mr. I'm not sure how to answer that. I think you've answered it already.
Answer it for you. Absolutely, yes. Mr. I don't think I need to say. I think the debate. Oh, sorry. Apologies.
Just first of all, can you aware that one of that when we were in China earlier last year, and councillors and Mr. Wilson testified, one of the things, one of the people we spent a lot of time with was the Consul General for Australia in Chengdu, and he made it very clear that with do not work over the phone, they do not work email, they do not work over the phone, they are in person. Those methods certainly support it. You have to have face-to-face. The is very important to the Chinese. Can I also let councils be aware? I'm not sure Councillor Gillick must have different rooms to the one I talked, but I did not bundle in relation to the China project. It was in relation to something completely different to the China project. So it was never a part. Yeah, maybe dealing with quarries and things in China can be done over the internet, but the people they're looking at doing can be done without being there in person for some of the time.
My main point that I didn't get to mention the first time we spoke about this as well was that after Manjul and us having been toured here, one of the main things it talks about that you can hire as a facility, state of the conference room. And it also says we have, on our website, we have the highest grade state-of-the-art visual equipment worldwide. So
Point of order. Yeah, sorry. Relevance.
Okay, so my relevance is...
Yeah, I'd like to, if I can. Appreciate the degree of savviness which Councillor Gillich has with technology, but I believe in the context of what Mr. Wilkins articulated, in the context of what Councillor Smith has also stated, given the cultural ethos we're dealing with, technology is really relevant. I think Councillor Gillich has made amply in her first introductory debate, but now to come back further and raise that we have indicated technology allow us to the Chinese entirely irrelevant and entirely superfluous to what we actually need to do to strengthen this relationship. So the relevance here.
Can I finish? Oh, thank you. So my relevance here, obviously, if is saying there is no relevance to that, I'm wondering one of two things. I mean, the first one is not really relevant to this. Why? I mean, we have the best equipment here to do it, to have these conferences. I sometimes we visit it. I'm not saying visit at all. I mean, we go once every 2 years still. But what I'm saying is, why did we build $120 building with today's money? Why did we build this high of a number of such high quality conference rooms? Like, technology is keep moving forward. We are going to have to keep forward with it. Whether we get 2% of the time we visit, and we also learn to relationships go through video. I mean, we've built and developed this building for that. This is what it says on the website. They can out so that others can come in and use.
Point of order again, Mr. Mayor.
No, twice a year is not necessary for anything. I said I go there once every 2 years.
Its relevance, again, we're talking about a cultural imperative here that we actually meet the Chinese face to face, which has been spoken to extensively by Mr. Wilkins-Smith. So it doesn't matter how sophisticated our technology is or how much we've spent on it, that technology gets utilised every day in inter and action council. I know the staff use Skype technology all the time to talk to each other, but we also use it to talk to other levels of government, other councils. There is a relevant technology. There is no relevant technology when it comes to dealing with some overseas countries. For example, the People's Republic. It may some other relevant with Israel, Councillor Cristani, which I know you're interested in. But culturally, this is the advice we've had. This is what we've acted on. I'm not pursuing the technical aspects of this, given the lack of relevance.
I'll take your point on that. Council to decide every year if the budget is on or not. So there's a pear shape. That was the point of all I say. Councillor Gifford.
No,
You finished?
fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to congratulate Councillor Gillies for her marks on using technology. As we know, Councillor Gillies is a young person who uses and technology business. Congratulated for the great with Councillor Aziz. So I've just got to point out a couple of things that as you know, that last June I went over to Israel. I paid for I self-funded, and I went to Afrikim. The Councillor Chris to assist the city up with Afrikim. I went over there and I made contact with the CEO. The mayor was up at the time. It wouldn't have been possible for me really to have had a meeting with them face to face, purely and simply because they all spoke Hebrew. There was only one there in the room. That point, I honestly take that we do have to make some an allowance travelling overseas point of contact. Secondly, I was totally against the overseas travel that Councillor Smith just taken and come. But Councillor Smith did raise a point, an interesting point that he made another while he was part of which could benefit Casey. That there I'm impressed with, and if it comes off, I'll be really appreciative. I think that where he was, and I was totally the travel to Phoenix, but if he can pull this particular particular item off, I'd be very, and he wouldn't have been able to do it by doing video conferencing. So I'm very happy that what he did was he thought of Casey and the citizens of Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Question. I just like to preface by saying I wholly support what's before us, but with respect to our councillors, perhaps feeling some level of doubt. If we go back 3 years, hold at a brief before we ever embarked on any relationship with China, is that if we're not prepared to do it face to face, it's your money. It was put more than that, but basically, if you're going to invest in this, make sure you do it properly. And the one thing you need to do is to be able to go to China and then return the hospitality. So for reasons that the progress that we've seen so far, thanks to Councillor Aziz Smith, Board of the Council undoubtedly support, but wondered if just those comments might help our councillors who doubt whether this is doing or not. I'm committed to it from the beginning. I'd like to see that go. Thank you.
Just a quick question.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I made tonight. It's actually not. It's actually going to stay within a budgeted requirement, which was unlike the report. 2, soccer trip, which the committee for our soccer committee, and this is going to further sports for our children. If I'm understanding, there's only trips in the next 12 months, then I'm more likely to support one, because I was happy to support one trip a year as one council, if you hear me out. But the second relates to our soccer, and I think for that reason I'll have to support this motion. Thank you.
I think enough's been said, but I just wonder if I could ask Mr. Wilkinson, given the magic that's happened report tonight to the funding, I'm going to apply the same skills to my personal bank account. See if you can find some money.
Yeah. All right. All those against? Please carry.
Oh, do I?
No.
He's allowed free world.
You can. We have recommendations. Councillor Smith, Rosario, Stapleton, Rowe, Flannery, Aziz, Ablett, Saray, Councillor Gillich. Thank you. We'll move on now to my name. Councillor Rowe, thank you. I know some councils are. Every year, council received 30 council will decide on the and that is carried. Thank you. 6.7.
Mayor, moving the page 21. I'll be very quick. I've been honoured to be the chair of this committee since its inception back in 1998 or 9, I think it was. So it's been pretty special to me. In November and December last year, we called for nominations for this committee. And there were terms of ending for 11 current members. There were also some other members whose term they had been appointed during the year, weren't up for another. They were. We had such a high number of applications and high calibre that the committee that I was part of included other members of the advisory committee decided that it was too hard to not have some of the people on. And the growth of the arts in Casey has certainly been a big in most of the arts in Casey is such that this is quite an important committee, and if you've got 15 people be part of it, provide sound and advice to this council, and council has a strong history of following the advice and taking on that committee. We in the committee 2018 to 2020, it will have the most culturally and artistically diverse of any committee, and we're pretty out of the makeup of it. And whilst I'd love to be able to talk tonight about who those people are, I can't, because they don't even know. Acceptance tonight. I hope that they notified they've been accepted and successful in their application. So I commend all them. We'll talk at a meeting of who they are. I can assure people who are very good to the arts, very experienced and got lots to offer. So I thank them for their commitment to be and enjoy the next few years.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to station my name. I just wanted to raise this, pull this out to speak briefly to it. Pleased to see that I'm represent and also be one of the delegates for our football committee, which is soccer. So very again highlight we're planning to send a team to China as well. There will be other opportunities seeking to the national team, and so the object of the committee has also to look at the in infrastructure that's required to meet the short list, the wait list that is across the fast sport in case when I believe that's still the case, possibly.
I believe so.
Yes. So thank you for continuing with this. It's a successful committee that was started by former Councillor Kaplan, and so it's good to see that the work has come on this work to be done, some successes, but we keep going. So I'd like to have continued support for this committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Any
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to move that recommendation in my name again with an additional dot point.
No, additional. Thanks, Karen.
And that the elected council enunciate without its appreciation and respect for the professionalism and patience of our officers, of all our officers that have brought that to such successful conclusion. Is the extent amendment.
second, Councillor.
Mr. Mayor, what a outcome we have completely crystallised through this report. Not only have we delivered a magnificent $18.4 Olympic standard facility to the city of KC, but we've also ensured that we've gone out there and fulfilled our commitment to find sponsors to financial burden, even though seemingly minuscule at the time, more absorbable by the unity or a certain of the unity. To be frank, Mr. Mayor, and I haven't minced my words in relation to this because I've actually endured this saga my recent mayoralty. times it would have seemed that negotiating or with some groups that facilities is difficult. In times, some of the people that we're negotiating with, quite frankly, made the North Korean rate a peace lobby, and it was not our residents and they're on our ratepayers. And the reason being is that we act responsibly for all our ratepayers. We need to ensure operational decisions, indeed every final decision that is taken in this chamber is cognizant of the interest of 350,000 residents, not just several residents. And this is what's made the process so difficult. So we embarked on this negotiation. Faith, our officers, very hard and in conjunction with some experts in the field to undertake some modelling and show what the best costing arrangements were, and to some of the community with that they didn't like it, and unfortunately it was before a general council election, so it was a great opportunity of some great making and missing to be distributed to the community. And after a hell of a campaign to target certain councillors, those councillors prevailed. We came back to our gun in terms of the decision made before the council election, and we continued with those decisions because we believe that would be in the best interest of the ratepayers. Throughout all, we had tremendous support from the officers, but then we went out like the absolute responsible corporate citizens that the city continued to be. And if you prior to that, how we acted during various other sagas, such as Stevenson's Road, things that shy away from to hold the baby and find responsible solutions, even if we're under numerous and attack. It was no different. We went to the market, we went to the community sector, and we found some sponsors that would in turn take the financial burden away from the people that were attacked, because that's what we always do. We care about interests, we care about the community interest, and we don't care quite if people have been lost, and that's exactly what happened here. Congratulations, Mr. Rouse, to you and your team. You've continued to deliver in the most remarkable way. First, an amazing facility, all of Victoria about. Secondly, working with the user community to continue to deliver great outcomes in this fashion. There's no one that will walk away with exercise being upset at it, and that makes me so proud and so happy that we've stuck to our guns and we can put our hands and start to respond in the interest of everybody, not just the user community, but indeed every single Casey ratepayer out there, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yep.
Councillor.
Sorry. It's me. It's basically a question that a wonderful team effort here, and I'm very grateful for it. I would like to acknowledge one person, and I'd like to my person because he's been very a long house, and that is Tony Butler. Is he in the gallery tonight? Tony, I had the pleasure of speaking with Tony this evening. He's worked very hard on another project that I've been, and I'd like to thank Tony. I'd like to thank him especially here tonight because he actually leaves on Thursday, Mr. Mayor. He's going to Port Head, and he's going to be up at the Port Head Council, which will be very different to here. He was talking about his work that he's going to be doing at the facilities over there, and I'd like to see what they're doing in Port Head. It'll be very different from doing here in Casey. But Tony, I'd just like to say thank you very much. And if I could just say, Mr. Mayor, this is a very difficult process, huge shift from way of doing business of great employees and volunteers with the Casey Netball and the Casey Basketball Association. I have respect for these and know how hard they are. I also know this was a very, very difficult process, and I remember Mr. Fitchett saying, Amanda, it was always going to be difficult. And it was a group of professional officers together. Actually found a wonderful solution. I must say I was that glad to have put forward the suggestion that we get help of cost for our wonderful association. And I had the pleasure of meeting a gentleman, his name escapes me, from New Zealand, who actually has been heading wonderful scoping sponsor people that would...
Steve Bramley.
Steve Bramley, and he just absolutely, I know he's doing great areas as well. It's the opportunity of the future, Mr. Mayor. It's not just up to the ratepayers, but we can also engage businesses and who would like to be a part of providing a solution for the city of Casey and have their name on the board at the, in so doing. So just saying thank you to the there's still a matter with the agreement to be resolved, and I'll be very keen to see how that progresses. But also say thank you for the win. I'd also like to keep the Casey Basketball Associations. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Oh, no. We'll move along to 6.12.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to recommendation in my name. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Appreciate that. Mr. Mayor, I'm so excited about the Community Task Force, and I think the work that the council officers have done in relation to get ground has been as outstanding has been with our community. How wonderful that they would give up their time to come in, see what we're doing, makes the and then, if it's honest, so that we've got all the and balances in place to be able to deliver on our council plan and on other issues. We were lucky enough to attend, the the catch up with the community task force, and it was just great to hear the excitement amongst the community members that are involved, be they input and see the outcomes of what they're doing. Now, I've got a couple of notes here. Oh, it's a bit better, isn't it? Got a couple of notes here, Mr. Mayor, if you would indulge me, just to acknowledge of how it progressed its inception. So in April 2017, the People's Panel delivered 24 recommendations to Council, and they over a period of 4 Saturdays in order to do that. One of these recommendations was to establish a community task force to monitor implement of the vision and council plan. In November 2017, we invited the People's Panel back to further discuss this recommendation and build a successful task force. Speak to that model in just a moment. And then just to mention that we are committed to our community and in People's Panel's recommendations. So we will adopt the proposed community task force model, and we are excited to begin working with the community task force to continue towards Australia's most living. For this group is set to begin in February, with their first meeting scheduled in March. And I've just lost my page nuisance. Page 47. Oh. Here we go. If I could just ask you, Mr. Mayor, what the task force comprised of 20 people, an invitation open to both the People's Panel and wider community, membership to be representative of gender, ethnic and geographically spread of Casey's population, 3 meetings per year, coordinated councils that will be held in March and November, access to dedicated closed digital platform so that members can communicate with each other and the council at any time, terms of reference, and we've got an attachment of that, and it's also a 1-year tenure reviewed annually for the next 3 years, and it includes voluntary participation with support for transport, childcare and translation services. So, Mr. Mayor, we're really serious about this. Have done this well with the People's Panel, now on to the Community Task Force, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the participation and the outcomes that can come from it. It's just working side by side. So absolutely fantastic to me.
Thank you, Councillor Starr. Any questions or dissent on the matter? Thank you. Now, item 6, which is me.
Need to declare a comment, Mr. Mayor, which is indirect, which I've notified the CEO prior to the meeting.
acquisition fund. I put the service our ratepayers with the money from that particular block, given so I put that
Thank you. I believe we discussed this previously, so I just wanted to check that by reading the budget cycle in line with our disposition of land, if that's the right word. Policy for land, is there any delays that we have to put it towards? Yeah, I just want to be sure that we're covering that off. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, could I just have the question again, please?
It's my Mr. Mayor. We can do this we can add that extra dot point in line with the policy going outside of or is by we can put it into the budget cycle?
Yes, you
okay,
can.
I just want to check.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Great.
Consideration of to receive and listed. Councillor Rowe, Susan Sent is carried. Petitions, are there any petitions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I have one. I'd like to put forward. We've got some wording up. And that in. Oh, that's an excellent question. More than 6. I'm not that well. Smith will add them up. We were sent the electronic copy, and we've just printed that. But while we're doing that, if I may be permitted to click on this really quick. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've petitioned traffic issue. Chestnut Drive, and the number, by the way, Mr. Mayor, is 18 signatures there. 18 letters that have come. And the saying is that along Heinrichsen Drive in Hallam, we did put some traffic calming measures there. What they're saying now, traffic is avoiding that of the speed humps, and now using Chestnut Drive as a rat run. So the residents are asking council to look into that, and Councillor Smith representing the interests of the residents, and we look forward to seeing the outcome and the report that comes.
Well, can we just add a dot point for the report council? Yep.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do an are you aware that Councillor Rosario and I actually visited that site and met with residents, and while we were there, see the behaviour of drivers. I noticed the drivers who were cutting off corners at high speed. Pretty dangerous. So we stand from the residents on of the problems, and I'm sure it gets a lot worse than what we saw.
Are there any more motion? Before we have spoken and I put some names there as our officers investigate all the things there. We included because to the table, Mr. Joel Sucker, thank you. Wish to the foundation. I think that's a good thing because I've said that particular group, and who's the netball club trying to get he can cram as one of the biggest clubs in Victoria, trying to get as many people to bank the then going back we're even bigger. And Mr. Silvio Marinelli setting up negotiation rules, how they get them set up correctly with an MOU memorandum of understanding. And he will for free to work with our officers and set this up. So I've asked for a report to come back on how in 2018 all abilities run on empty. Down a lot, Councillor Rose as well. term, the board, which is connected to but not connected, will sit as an independent board. So that an MOU worked out with Marinelli and all the board and but I'm hoping that with the MOU we may fall down to the discretion. There's some really maybe a tool so they can actually learn better. Maybe even a group with at the criterion track. And so but if you're prepared to really give it a go, and there's one other idea, the benefits are enormous. Are you aware?
Are you aware of how desperately needed this is? Mr Mayor, I want to comment on this session. I mean, the other people who are supporting it. There's a misperception in the community that everything's taken care of for people with disability and their care, and quite true. It's insufficient, doesn't go far enough, and disability is always the last on the list. Can I just say, as patron of the All Cranberries team, they're just a bus. They get their all their students or their players transported from one game to another. Otherwise, pulling and not else that possible. I just want to say very much, Mr Mayor, you've shown great leadership in this area, and I really support this notice of motion. Thank you.
We can all be quick email to anyone who wishes to be a part of that.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank Mr Flannery. Mr Mayor, I'd like to congratulate you on this notice of motion. It just so happens Saturday night I was down at the Cranberry Athletics track with Nicholas Stapleton, and as I arrived, I was just about to start an all abilities race, and I had 4 contestants, and I don't know their disabilities or what progress they were at their disabilities, but I absolutely stunned and excited and fantastic. Cranbourne Little Athletics put an event on like that. I think there should be more of it to get children involved, other children, whatever outdoors to make them a part of our society. I absolutely support. It's just so as I said, the boy running at the end, he was, I don't know, a couple of 100 metres behind, and he flew home. But there was a boy, I don't know what this might have been cerebral, but he ran, he stopped, but he kept on going, and you know, so excited for him. And they all, I think, the medal for competing, and one boy, I think one of the little boys come all the way over from Kilor, and some area, and but look, it's a great incentive, and I support it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. That's carried. Thank you. 3-2.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move this in.
Seconded by Councillor.
Thank you. I may need a little bit of extension of time. I just want to give you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to highlight work taken by our officers and councillors, our Aboriginal and supporting community to achieve this body of work up to, as a delegate of Council Aboriginal Committee for over 6 years now, accompanied with various officers including Alison Walker, and recently joined by our very dear Rex Flannery. I've been honoured and convey the council and community achievements to this committee, which include the largest local government project in Australian history and our Aboriginal Bunjil Place and our very own Aboriginal gathering place. 2 tangible successes and many positive outcomes through the relationships cultivated in these 2 significant projects. Flannery and I recently did a good old Aussie barbecue at the gathering place where we mingled and found an atmosphere of friendship, support, celebration of individual futures. I was drawing on the youth that has naturally resulted. I felt like one of the group. I think we probably did too, Councillor Flannery. I met a young woman who was about to leave to football in Canada. What an opportunity for her. We had common ground there. We all focused on the positives that us. The place needs to have certainty of secure funding streams for ongoing success, for further opportunity for reconciliation and unity. Some of you may know I spent half of my childhood in Alice Springs. My family and I lived next door to a larger extended family of Aboriginals for 5 years. There were many social I saw first 8-year-old. I recall it rocked my world. I will never forget of addiction, violence, and broken families. I also witnessed amongst the Aboriginal strong bonds, deeply spiritual people who overall had high respect for me and my family. We cared for them as best we could, did them in times of my family visited outback missions communities. I even recall singing the song, I Saw the Light. The reason I am telling you all is I want you to know that I commitment to and building bridges with the Aboriginal community. I've witnessed firsthand the struggles, so I'm the first person to put forward and salute. In fact, my niece and nephew, rich Aboriginal and Italian blood and heritage, and they share common blood with my husband and my children. To my own children, they're half Italian, a quarter Irish, British, and a quarter Lithuanian, but they are 100% Australian. When it all said and done, we are all Australian. Supporting the includes seeking every unity and not. I hope I may be granted a little latitude while I slide in a current and poignant point so to associate this. Upon the words of the local government from Alice Springs, where I used to live, Councillor Jacinta Price, who said, being proactive and working together as a united will solve our hearts. Let's history towards the future, working together without changing Australia Day. End of quote. As you mentioned previously, Casey County raised and passed to keep Australia 26th of January, of which the citizenship ceremonies are an integral aspect of our Australian Day. As a nation, with the perspective of knowledge, not necessarily choice, but I'd like to look at its birth as a fresh start. This coming to Australia on that day over 200 years ago helped the success of our Australian story. Despite the hurt caused to those who arrived and to those who were already here, we can help each other with our wounds and each other to a better future. We can focus on the legacy that the British to of sound Australian, sound local, sound government system of community service, of work ethic, a message of were brought with those who arrived in different capacities. My own father, who passed away last year, was a migrant nation when he was 4 years old. He was born of war, and there seemed no future in his country of birth. So his family brought him here for a new beginning and a fresh start, not to damage our, but to build a future together. See that is the majority story of almost every Australian who has landed here, not to damage what is here, but to have a start. A small number of people at the Aboriginals change that. However, we can heal together through and build towards a better future. The only path is forgiveness, unity, not. This gathering place I have witnessed is an extremely wonderful place of unity, of moving, celebrating heritage, building on what unites us and not unites us. Otherwise, the wounds will never close. Thank you. Thank you. I'll try to be brief. Thank you. In saying this, I want to be. I would, and the community would be honoured to have you continuing the success of the Aboriginal gathering place. Casey is, after all, the home of the largest population of and Torres Strait Islanders in the southern metropolitan region. 55% are under the age of 25, a third are less than 15 years old. 3% of occasional families, parent families. 1% of Aboriginal people in Casey have a severe or profound disability. 69% of Aboriginal Casey residents have rental stress. Aboriginal Casey have a lower income Aboriginal people. Vital to the health and well-being of Aboriginal young people and their families is connection to culture, community and healing, a strong sense of identity, access to culturally appropriate support, services and programs. The gathering place has been in the community since it was in 2006 and has been operating full capacity ever since. Vulnerable young people access the support and services they require with culturally appropriate so they can successfully contribute effectively the community in which they live, learn and play, and enjoy the associated health and well-being benefits as a result. Partnerships for the associated programs and services. For example, with Victoria Police, Doveton Secondary College, Dandenong District Cooperative, and Nguala Drug and Alcohol Recovery Services, Monash Health, Child Protection, and Universal Service. And so I'd love to have some motion. It's centred to the vision of creating Australia's most livable cities for our local Indigenous. Thank you. Yes. Thanks.
Through you, Mrs. Are you aware? I went with Councillor Cristani for their place meeting for homework group just before they finish for their break at Christmas time. That's the second time I've been up there to the Aboriginal place for the group, and I'd actually like to just commend the officers and the staff that work up there. I think it's Leon is one of the Leon is exceptional young up there, and without his support, he takes the kids to the football. He does community groups or over the holidays. He to the cricket, takes them to the football when it's on. He liaises, as Councillor Kasani said, with the police, the department. Hell of a lot of work for the community, regional community, and whatever we can do to support the group to stay viable. I'll certainly end up to help them out if I can. But to the group and to the officers, look, it's an amazing place. So I recommend any officers or councillors to go up, have a look when the kids are doing a homework group. The kids are absolutely fantastic, very well respected, and to everybody concerned.
I have a question. Councillors aware that I'm very apologetic to Councillor Flannery for jumping in and doing this, and that the only reason I did actually I was lucky to be on the access and inclusion. Sorry? jumped in, should have been a little bit more sensitive, but I'm so thrilled about this because I remember being on the Access and Inclusion Committee many years that brought to us the understanding of why this was, and then the project about going out and finding a location which the officers did and do a fantastic job. I was lucky to be at the councillors others, and it is a fantastic centre, and it's a really great outcome for our Aboriginal. We have a lot of respect and relationship with them. They're just like us, and they wanted a specific centre that really helped them at who they are and them that important time to do what they need to do. So I think this is an absolutely fantastic outcome. Sorry, Councillor Flannery, I'll be next time. Certainly thrilled of this notice of motion, Councillor Cristani, and I commend you for it. Thank you.
Thank you. 320.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move this motion in my name. Thank you, Councillor Flannery. You got me back. I appreciate that, Councillor Flannery, very much. Mayor, this is a very exciting event that's coming up quite shortly, and I wanted to raise it here at Council so that we can actually understand what the event's going to look like, how both as Council and hopefully the media will pick it up, and certainly our community. But it all came from a communication from a young man, Walden, from Cranbourne Scouts, and he wrote me a message, and he said, "My mum and I are travelling to base camp this year in of my dear friend. This the week before his death, we both thought it would be worth climbing Everest. Unfortunately, that wasn't granted. In memory of him, I will take, that's Mitchell, take a token that symbolises him and what and who he was to his Scouts and his many friends." A beautiful sentiment made by Mitchell Walden, and he's going with his mother, Jenny Walden, her before she's Commissioner for Scouts. And what they're wanting to do is to raise awareness and much funds. It linked a particular involved suicide prevention, that they can do that to avoid this happening to another person, and to make sure that positive different community. Just an absolute, I wouldn't walk to base camp, that's for sure. I might walk in the tropics. I'd like to do the Dakota track, but I don't like the cold. So I think what they're absolutely fantastic. That would not suit me at all. But I think they're very courageous, and I think this is a very, very noble effort. It's going to be a great success. I just wondered, with your indulgence, Mr. Mayor, if I put an additional point at the bottom, just saying that we invite Mitchell Walden back. It's the Councillor invite Mitchell Walden back to present on his walk. We should say Jenny and Mitchell. That's Jenni, Jenny and Mitchell Walden. Yep. Completion of the walk. Does that make Councillor Mitchell? Yeah, everybody else is. Yep. Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, I can actually get for them second week because the event is coming up so quickly. So, could I please ask that question of the appropriate officer? Thank you.
That shouldn't be a problem to confirm other.
Very much. No, look, this will be a really worthwhile thing to get behind and support. And I love the scouting group. Be a great tribute of council to acknowledge the life of this wonderful young man and also the work that Mitchell and Jenny Walden are doing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, any questions on the matter? Ms. Carey, thank you. Councillor Stable, 320.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to notice the motion. Thank you. Councillor Rowe. Mr. Mayor, 3 years ago we were celebrating 150 years of Cranbourne settlement. That time that I approached officers saying, well, are we going to respond as a council? And the response then was, we're actually going to wait for the, I think it was the Gazette of itself as a government township. So that time is now, and I know that time's got away from us, and we've had so much Bunjil and Chris and else. But what we do now is work out how is going to celebrate this 150 years. And we've got the notice of motion before us, but Mr. Mayor, I just wondered if I could read history, which is really interesting. It was kindly provided by Heather Arnold, local historian and librarian and part of the Casey Kidinia Historic Group, which Carrie is on. She's information that includes date timelines. So in 1860, Cranbourne Road Board proclaimed on 10th in 18, and the first members of the Cranbourne Road Board were Dr. James Smith Adams, chairman, who owned Ballaballa, owner of Sherwood Park, Richard Chomley, owner of Tongala at Lyndhurst, and Cranbourne Land also Near Creek property. Edward Malloy, owner of Main Property, and Alexander Patterson, owner of Germain's Bond of Springmount, and Patrick Thompson, owner of Oaklands, and John Wedge, owner of at Lyndhurst. The of the board of the road board area was 857. My goodness, things have changed since. Already Clydesdale took off the fact that the street of Cranbourne has a dirt track with a milk bar and a petrol station, and I think about 3 hotels. Back in 1861, the town of Cranbourne was proclaimed February the 25th. In 1868, the Shire of Cranbourne was proclaimed on February the 24th. The road board became the first. They were Lecky, Shire Wood Malloy, Alexander Patterson, William Norquay, Frederick Poole, and he was from Edward John, the Tucker name anonymous in Cranbourne now, owner of Cranbourne Hotel, Thomas Keys, George Poole and Herbert Foley at Sherwood Park. In 1973, the area of Lang Lang was annexed to the Shire of Cranbourne on July 4. In 1875, Cranbourne Shire opened on March before it was opened at Cranbourne Hotel. Good venue. In 1893, Yanathan annexed Shire of to the Shire of Cranbourne on January 23rd. In 1878, Cranbourne Shire officers officiated in Sladen, April 22nd. In 1908, Councillor Judy Elso was the first female Shire President of the Shire of Cranbourne, and girls we say. Now, Judy may well be a relative of Kerry Elso, who worked at the council. And in 1994, the city of Cranbourne was created on 22nd. In 1950, the city of Casey and the Cardinia Shire officially came into being on the December 4 p.m. It was a momentous. Well, so much history in Cranbourne, as you and I very well know. We all know that sitting around the table. Sorry? It's still and I would also be very aware. A wonderful place, Cranbourne. I love it. I live there. I love the people. I love the history. Something that I found amazing when I council is to talk to 4 and 5 generation families who have helped found the area so very hard is today. Mr. The sooner we can meet to find out how we're going to celebrate this 150 years before February. Grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Has urgent business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's urgent because of approaching deadlines. Approaching deadlines. We have a meeting forum coming up next. Thank you. I believe most of the wording is there. Do you want me to write it? Oh, it's coming. just a line to add an extra minister to the. And I believe there's some. Okay, we've got it. You guys are fantastic. Move. Thank you. I'd like to move that in my name.
Second by
Thank you. It's pretty self. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, it's pretty self-explanatory. We're having a forum next month, already adopted council with the forum. Already we have Chella White, Maura Deeming, Dr. Cargreave. I don't know if I got the spelling right. Forgive me if I didn't. And whose son was affected by the program. And we also request that the state ministers and shadow education be that would be so the family non-violence towards children, family non-violence towards women minister George Groves cited, and we also offer minutes to them, which is longer than we're probably going to offer some of the others. Also, in addition, Bidol, he's an Australian who is an expert and also has got the two books there. So, we also, forgive me, there's also the, did I not include that? I invite the Independent Schools Board of Australia as well as the school boards of and also Christian school boards of Australia. Yeah, can I have leave of council to? You did. Yeah. Thank you. The Catholic Education Office, which is probably okay. Thank you. It's relevant to them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we'd like to. Thank you.
Sorry. Can I ask a question? Sorry. It's a quick question on. I'm just trying to get it. Independent School Board Australia and Christian Schools of Australia. Are we saying we're opening it up to the whole country? An organisation.
They're actually invited. No, if I may say, it's to have a representative from those boards. The Independent School Board Australia, the Board of Australian Education. Well, we're actually asking for a representative there, so there's about 8 altogether. Sorry, no, I mean 8 people. Councillor Rosario was asking how many people are we inviting through this. Mr. Mayor, I would like to ask whether or not, and we're still in discussion with is doing some work on organising. We're going to be identified. I would like it to be in the main auditorium because I think that's how many will attend. A few networks that I did.
Well,
Well, Mr. On some, we ran crime forums in the last term. I think we got 40 to 80 people across forums in each. So it really depends on. It really depends on if community members can be out there at 5:30 on a Thursday, I believe it's a. We want to make it after. I don't know how many would end up attending, but we actually, the original motion with asking the communities and send a representative that's, you know, entirely up to them, but it is open to parents, it's open to principal, it's open to anyone that wants to come. So we will be issuing a media release. So
what my question is,
yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay. No.
Can I just make a question? If we can put that council also invite a representative from, and then the rest from the schools of.
Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. That's what was intended by my motion, Mr. Mayor. Look, and if worse comes to worse, we've Plaza, we're out there. I'm sure we can think of some. The largest local government in Victoria. Are we one of them? Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah. Inviting the whole for those representatives from those groups, and I believe that there's local representatives. So, oh, I'm sorry.
I would think that the Catholic Education Department would be appropriate just to restrict that to the Hale diocese. So Hale diocese of all of the Catholic schools in this area. The Anglican schools, and you know, as is in relation to building respectful relationships in Safe School Coalition program, the Muslim community will, because Australia, I think that there should be a invitation forwarded to the Muslim clerics and schools to invite them to attend, because it is something that affects the upbringing of all faiths. I think we should
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Rowe. In fact, I think we reflected that in saying all faith. It was by furthering discussion how we're going to frame this, that the addition of this board and that board be added Independent Schools Board, I cover off
The school, that's not Catholic independent.
Yeah, okay. So if you like, I can say including the Islamic schools. Actually add that on in the Islamic schools, if you're happy with the row. That way, it's that. The thing is, we also have quite another other faith community schools. So perhaps, without trying to leave it out, it's if I could just change the wording, including of all faiths, just say that in Islamic and say schools of all faiths, and that way we're not we had knowledge of some of the others, but we have knowledge of the assigned to the boards. That's, I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, Independent Schools Board is still there. Of all faiths.
Yeah, don't know.
Is it of Victoria? I know that the Christian Schools of Australia is a local representative. Yeah. I believe perhaps we can leave it as to you get the spirit of what we're trying to say. Local representatives to arrive, yeah, but also the South Diocese of Education Office, the Sale Diocese Catholic Education Office. So with two councils.
Just I just already on the Christians of Australia. I think that's an organisation, or are you talking individual schools around Australia? Sorry.
That's an organisation.
Oh, that's
yeah.
an organisation. Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Sorry, Councillor, just to achieve final clarity, because I can understand where this is going, but where it might get messy in terms of the coordination. Again, to pick up on Rose's point, I'm wondering if we can organisations representing schools of all faith, Christian schools of.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be
Yeah, we specifically mentioned the Sale Diocese because of the role that they've done, and that's appropriate. But rather than just 1,000, for is really from every organisation.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, so it's very simply, Mr. Mayor, represent for the word dependent on the first line and the second paragraph from organisation in bracket, like organisation in brackets S, so that it's actually, it can be singular or plural. The Independent School Board of Australia. And including schools Commissioners call her? Because we're faith.
I think that's organisation.
Look, as long as they get an invitation, I think that's what is enough, and I'd like to keep the rest.
I agree.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So I'll leave that with you, Mr.
I just wondered if we slightly Dr. Carr-Gregg's surname, if we could add another G to it, please. I'm sorry to be so particular. And G at the hyphen, yeah. Oh. Sorry. Sorry. There now. Oh, thank you. It must be my imagination. It's all right.
We do. So that's
Question potentially dissent, Mr. Mayor, depending on the question. Question for Crestani. Members of the panel that have been invited, and so as I understand that the panel is these guys up there plus have I got that right? Are all these members of the panel hold the same, but for the ministers, but do all the members of this panel hold the same view?
I missed you. No. And I stipulated to Holly de Kretzer in our meeting that, to be fair to both, to all the that we should reflect that in our nation. That's why we have the state ministers and the shadow minister.
Mr. Memo around the minutes.
Right.
Those four panellists there, not the councillors, the ministers, do they all have the same view?
Well, three that definitely do. The doctor is a specialist in his own capacity, and we're looking at experienced ministers, of course. By all means, if you would like to extend it to invite someone that would actually represent that represents a different, we want to seek a balanced approach, absolutely. Thanks.
I would just also add original motion. Other views, I suppose, are being invited to be present on the panel. The case of work youth represent, as well as Department of Education.
So, just a question. So those people up there, are they confirmed panellists? Right. Okay.
Not
but those.
There was.
Oh, thank you. Just in relation to Councillor Jackson's question, the two panelists, Carl Greg and Steve, they're actually advising on healthy raising of children and the healthy welfare of children. So I don't think they have a view, they don't have a political view, but they do have a view how we keep children safe and how we raise them properly. Good. As is Steve. Very good.
I just wanted to note that although we invited Maura, I don't think she should be became pregnant. We also Dr. Dina McMillan, who withdrew, who is not attending. So just to let you know, but if Jackson would like to suggest someone that consider to add to the panel, I'm more than happy to consider that. This is an open community forum. Thank you.
Because I don't want to turn this something it doesn't need to be. I understand that we've invited other panellists, and I accept that I've been invited. My view is that my quick Google search these panellists and the way it stands now, it's a stacked panel in one particular way. I don't know how that will provide a community for quite a approach now. The things should be then we don't have it on the 22nd of February until we do have a, in my view, a balanced, but in my a balanced panel, and I'm dissenting.
Mr. Mayor? Okay.
The only point I'll make is when we were speaking to Holly. Sorry. Yeah, when we were speaking to Holly about, it mentioned to us anyone that was taking any materials we were going to have and things like that, they would need to be factual, so we could give our own opinion and explain it our own way. It would need to be looked over and approved, and so he might feel that way. Maybe he might, Councillor Jackson might want to think about some people side of the bar. He might think do well, and they might actually want to come and speak. But we aren't looking to say that it's untrue. Everything that's going to be added and everything that's spoken about is going to be 100% fact. So in that way, although maybe it might be the fear inside it will all be factual. So I feel as though that's important.
Councillor Jackson because my intellectual taste buds started activated by analysis of figures and the panel. Andre provide more insight to the chamber as to how he came to the conclusion that the four panelists back in the particular. What I'm keen about is the evidence given to the panel by Dr. Carr Gregg, for example, who's an ex-psychologist, and I'm just as a counter school of thought, because you can't just cast aspersions on people that they're thinking in a particular way if they're actually backed by scientific, which is in this. And so I don't actually, frankly, know the other three panelists, but I imagine that they would have been Chancellor Cristani of their contribution so far to the debate. So it's very important where we're making judgments like this that might lead to information to the community going to make a statement about how a particular view is going to be expressed before it's expressed, that we understand the ability of that being formed rather than make a statement. So I'm very keen to hear from Mr. Jackson on that aspect. Councillor Jackson,
I thank Councillor for his question. Seeing it was an urgent motion, I didn't have an opportunity to do thorough research on it, but from my laptop here, whilst having a look at three, I couldn't find Marzina, but having a look at all the three that were there, the panellists, not themselves, all against the same program. That's what I from my research very quickly.
Yeah, Paul, I'd just like to ask a further question. We live in a liberal democracy, of course, and it's acceptable for people against something, and usually if you've got professionals like this that have been involved in the debate have the reason that there is safe schools program is not enough for me to rule them out as members of a panel. Of course, we all diversity of opinion. Believe that people with a counter point of view might also have the opportunity to be invited to this forum and speak, but ruling them in this fashion is something that I'm comfortable with, on the basis of the position that they have taken, which might have been based on a lifetime of experience, significant academic research, as well as a range of factors that might have led them to reach that opinion. I am in a view that being against specifically headline, I believe we should dig deeper and allow the debate to materialise, and also opportunity to be informed. Dangers of this, and having said dangers, I guess I've exposed myself as being against the program myself from what I've read, and by no means, and certainly I'd like to it from some more, either to consolidate or revise that view.
Thank you, Mr. Number one is so if I'm reading it right, we've already adopted this, and
Yes.
this has gone through. These people have been invited, so I'll support this because it's already. Just in response to Steve, his name is actually Biddulph. Let's show to the is in I believe, and yeah, raising families.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to note that it wasn't just in urgent business that raises, so I think a point of order, I'll let you speak to this point. We did already name those names in the first, those three names of the first four. Chella, I say, she's a parent of a intellectually disabled, physically disabled son. She had concern the vulnerability her child will be further exposed to with this program. So she moved the child to another school that didn't hold that program. The morning is a teacher asked to teach this material was horrified when she saw what was in it, and therefore she was stepped her position or raped down. So I'll clarify that. Marjana Smalik's son had to go to emergency department from severe debilitating effects, and then it came out that it was a result of some of the material he was exposed to schools program. So they're all guide from first experience. Dr. Cargreg, it's wonderful to have some medical background to this. Of course, would be nice of us if we, the ministers, they have the schools represented that who are very affected, that some of them we don't want to see one day them forced to actually teach them in as contra with the values run this program runs contra to their values. Councillor for notice the misspelling. I didn't know that. I believe that was his spelling, so forgive me. I actually do have his book, Raising Girls, and I opened that. Thank you very much. I hope that clarifies issues, and thank you very much, Councillor Aziz, for your perspective on that. Much appreciated. And Councillor Gillard. division, please?
They carry. In favour. Councillor Saray, Councillor Gillich, Custani, Councillor Stab, Rowe, Connery, Councillor Aziz, Councillor Ablett. All those against? Councillor Jackson and Councillor Smith. Thank you. Violence of urgent. No, being no more business, we'll go move to close council. Can I get a move second to move the council? 5 minutes. Move by Councillor Rose. Darwin, any dissent? That is carried. See you back here.